The format tonight is we have 7 talks, lightning talks, so 5 sort of minutes each, time for Q&A, and then on to the next one, and then the speakers are around afterwards to catch up with them for a bit more chat. And then once the drinks are gone, but I think we might struggle to get through all that wine. We can take that as a challenge if you like. But we have to be out here by about 9 o'clock, so we've then got some space reserved in the fellow where we'll continue the sort of evening's events. Do this in conjunction with Scholarly Social, who organise sort of events in London. If you like this kind of thing, and you're going to be in Boston in November, we have another one. You know, I'm sure. Pop over to the USA every now and again. If you are over in Boston, or you know people who are, come along, and we've got some speakers on that as well, so you're welcome to present them if you like. Because we run these things, I can hijack this part of the evening to tell you stuff about eLife. So I'm going to keep it very brief, but we've launched this really cool feature this week, in fact, so I felt it was worthwhile giving John and the other guys some credit for basically full project history. So eLife, if you've never used it as a collaborative editor, with full project history, you can kind of look back on all of your collaborators' changes made at any time and kind of search that history and find any change that you want. So if you do use eLife, check it out and let us know what you think. So, on to tonight, we've got 7 really great talks I've seen covering kind of a range of different areas of science publishing. Tech, there's Wi-Fi. If you want to log into the Wi-Fi, the password's up in the top right, and if you do want to tweet, we use the hashtag FuturePub. Please do tweet if you do that sort of thing. The talks will be recorded, so we'll share those afterwards, so that if you miss something interesting and you want to share it to someone else, you can do. But without further ado, I would like to welcome Natalie, who's going to tell you about Walacea.
Hi everyone, nice to see you all here this evening. I'm glad I'm trying to take you away from me sitting up in the sunshine. So just out of curiosity, who here is a scientist? And who here is affiliated with university? So has anyone here heard of Walacea? Yeah, so Walacea is a crowdfunding platform for scientific research, which I founded a couple of years ago now. And to give you a bit of background on the name, because people always ask it, it's the name's inspired by Alfred Russel Wallace, who was the co-founder of evolution that he's less famous than Darwin. And he funded his research by selling specimens to the crowd in 1858. So essentially the theory of evolution was crowdfunded in a sense through Wallace. And our vision is to grow the funding available to research by inspiring more people to become interested in science. And for any scientists who might be interested in crowdfunding, this is our model in the source projects. We help scientists craft their campaigns, think about who the audience is, who might want to support them, and help with the wise information and also promote our own network. In terms of milestones, so far we've had 100k pledged through the platform. We've got a 60% success rate, ranging in projects from 3k to 53k. We've had over 3,000 people support science through Walacea. It's rewards-based crowdfunding, so people get a range of different types of projects tracking science, from going to a seminar, talking about the results of the research, or artwork, prints related to the research for quite popular quantum studies, and like little thank you postcards and also being quite popular. This is one of the seminars we did. We did a project with Kew Gardens recently. And they had a seminar at Kew which was talking about aloe vera, or aloes in general, and why aloe vera became so famous. And so it's just like put the same as an example so you can see a bit more about what we do. This was another seminar that we did, so I've been talking about how LSD works in the brain. That was also with Professor Nat, who some of you may have heard of, who does research into Schedule 1 drugs and potential medical applications. Just another picture from the seminar. There was a drinks reception after the seminar for people to talk about studying and like meet each other. And yeah, it was just quite nice to go from sort of funding science over platform to an actual event where people had the opportunity to meet scientists whose research they supported and speak to each other about funding. So who funds science? So get asked this quite a lot, and it's a range, and it really does depend on the project. But what we found for like the majority of projects was sort of like the sort of 3 to 5K size projects. The majority of people who support them are their own network, their peers, and then moving on to people that they're affiliated with. So normally when we speak with scientists who are thinking about crowdfunding, we arrange a Skype call and we normally try and understand who their networks are, because often with the scientists we've spoken with, they haven't necessarily realised some of the networks that can really help propel their campaign. So having that Skype call can really help. And so at the bottom, these are some examples of affiliated organisations that would help promote the campaigns that we've had on the website. And actually, Friends of the Earth chipped in after seeing a project that they thought was interesting. They put in a 2K towards the project. So yeah, that's maybe some examples of how networks can be leveraged from scientists who are affiliated with various organisations. And then people are reached through media coverage. So this works obviously better for certain projects that have media appeal, but then often there might be, media coverage can range from being on BBC headline or Sky News headline to a blogger who focuses on ecology research, who has like a quite engaged following. So media coverage is just a really great way for scientists to reach people who aren't in their network and actually get them to hopefully support their research. And then our network also helps people. Our network is also sort of the funding research around like specific areas where they track research support. And in general, most projects will have a conversion rate of around 1 to 3%. So the people who come to the page, about 1 to 3% then will make a donation. So it really is like half about the campaign page and then a large part about how you go about getting traffic to the page. So it's crowdfunding just for popular science. So I don't think it is just for popular science, but it really does depend on how much needs to be raised. So the small projects, I think, around sort of like 3K to 10K, those projects don't necessarily need to be popular science. It just needs to have an affiliated network and someone who really wants to promote the campaign, who's really good to promote the campaign and is a good communicator. Actually, campaigns with a good communicator might be more successful than a campaign that might be deemed to be a popular topic. And actually, being affiliated with networks is almost more important than how popular science is itself. So if there's projects that a celebrity is really passionate about and really wants to get behind, then that can propel a campaign forward. So it's not necessarily that it's popular science. But popularity is important with crowdfunding because it's building crowd. So our method is that, as I explained before, we source projects, we advise and support through the process, and the big challenge is finding scientists who are interested in crowdfunding and want to give it a try. So I mentioned that here in case anyone is interested in crowdfunding. And that's it. So there are contact details and anyone has any questions.
Do you have any corporate companies who get involved with funding research they like to see, or getting involved in crowdfunding projects?
Not yet. It's not an area we focus on, but I can see that it would be an area that could work.
There's, I was just thinking about Incentive, an open innovation platform that's something on the nature side, after which potentially could link into this. I can see somehow that if they don't find people who can provide them research, they could potentially go and crowdfund that research to be done.
Yeah, that's good.
Just wondered, do you take a percentage?
Yeah, we take a 5% commission of the amount that's raised through the project.
If it's successful?
Oh yeah, if it's successful. Yeah. I know you want to put on
Is that 5% of the funds that are committed to the project? Or?
Yeah, it's 5% of the funds that are committed. Not, yeah.
Can you say a bit, please, on the politics of science crowdfunding? Because it's obviously a highly political issue, and I'd like to hear you say a bit more about what the key issues are and how you overcome them. Because there's going to be a lot of bias, I would imagine, for example.
Sorry, the politics in what context?
The type of science that can be supported by crowdfunding, who the groups are who are willing to support scientific projects, and which scientific projects are likely to succeed through crowdfunding. But there are loads of issues that sprang to mind while you were speaking.
I think, our view is that it's everyone's choice as to what projects they fund, and people can spend their money on anything really, like a t-shirt, a holiday, and if they want to spend their money on supporting individual scientists doing a project, then we see that very much.
But something that's not media attractive is unlikely to attract funding.
Well, we're not. We only will support projects that can be crowdfunded. So yeah, there will be areas where crowdfunding doesn't work. For example, crowdfunding research at Logan might be a bit tricky. But there's still a massive problem with scientific funding, and if crowdfunding can help people with a small portion of those, then I think it's beneficial.
Do people, when they sign up to crowdfund your platform, do they have to agree to make all their results available?
No.
So they don't have to release them to the people that are funding for the
We haven't really got a policy on that, but we'd encourage them to share it with the people who back them, and we write a blog about their research findings, and we share with people who support their research. So we're really trying to get the scientists who successfully crowdfund, to keep all the people who supported them engaged, learn more about research with the view to actually crowdfund again to follow up to follow their funding.
Just one word about politics. I think you open an avenue for a lot of people that don't have the scientific research due to politics. And now that the public has access to it, I think it is a great chance.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you. So there'll be more time to quiz Natalie on the politics of all this up. You will stick around for a little while at least. Next up we have Matias, who's going to tell us about manuscripts. time starting when you get to this stage. Yes. Right. My name is Matias. I'm going to talk to you today about Manuscripts, which is a scientific writing environment. First, I wanted to give a little bit of background story about myself and how this project and product came about. I got interested in building software midway through my PhD. I was kind of living this double life with writing iPhone apps like this EA Mobile release game and this application that was very unfortunately called MyCast, which was for finding channel stations. And once I graduated, I started working on this application called Papers, which some of you may know, which is a reference manager. I've basically gone full-time with Manuscripts though. And Manuscripts kind of follows some of the same aesthetics as Papers did before, in that we want to build tools for people who don't really care about how computers work, just want to get a paper done so that they can work out the next paper. So it's really a writing tool that fills some more roles than a word processor usually does, with a couple of strong opinions about how writing and scroll extents should be done. So firstly, it's completely WYSIWYG, so we feel that in many fields it's just impossible to expect that people would learn any kind of market language or type-setting system to get work done. Secondly, it's quite opinionated about keeping people in the same environment. So it integrates with external tools like here, for instance, the F1000 workspace or Papers at the corner there. So it has a plugin system, but the point of the plugin system is so that people stay within the same environment and just don't break their flow away. Thirdly, and kind of the most of this slide is that it has a very nice citing and referencing workflow behind it. So citations of embedded data is not just kind of formatted text, it's actually metadata that's stored inside the document as well. You can go and edit it inside the app as well. And math is also a first-class citizen, so there's a math editing built into the app as well. Right, so integrates with F1000, Mendeley, Zotero, and a couple of other things like that. And I said before that we don't care about, or we don't want the user to care about markup formats and typesetting, but we do care about it. So internally there's a lot of structure to the document, which is hidden from the end user. So for instance, we let the user to write against one of over 1,000 different document templates, one of over 8,000 different citation styles that are automatically applied, and we also give you some guidance as to what you should be doing. So for instance here, the abstract doesn't meet some requirements that are set to it by the publisher. And there's a bunch of other rules like that that are either automatically applied or get hinted to the author. There's a very nice multi-panel figure workflow as well. Here's another example where we hide complexity, in that you can just drag and drop images into a figure that then becomes a multi-panel figure that when exporting gets rasterized into a single image. There's a bunch of features like this that we want to take a lot of manual work away so that you focus on substance and kind of storytelling of your work. All of this data is also versioned, by the way, so if you just keep replacing the images, the old stuff is stored as well. There's a table editor. We support either tables created inside the application or ones that are pre-rendered and imported in, so that we can focus on specific workflow issues with table editing and storing quality data in tables, and then assume that people use the pre-rendered tables if that doesn't fall inside. For instance, that table there only contains text, basically. It contains text and it contains styles that are separate from the text, in the sense that headers and footers and captions and the body are all laid out based on paragraph styles and kind of table styles that are there. You can do some really interesting things with those tables if you solve the problem in that way. Statistics, for instance, and another kind of validation. I mentioned math briefly before, so there's built-in LaTeX-based equation editing. You can also copy and paste directly from math type. It's intended to really appeal to both people who come from LaTeX and Word background to it. There's some hidden stuff with the status published is you can just copy and paste out of this application into Keynote if you want to use your equations in a PDF form or images, or MathML is also supported as a pasteboard format, so it interoperates a lot with other applications. Code is another important thing in modern science. A lot of work is computational, either very obviously or less obviously.
And one of the ways in which we now support that is that you can embed code snippets inside the document. Everything is versioned. The whole document file format is versioned, so every single edit goes into a static version history. It's kind of Git-like underneath it, if you know what Git is, but it, again, is built for people who don't know what Git is, in that it's very, very non-technical, and we just refer to any version in history. And be sure about, let's say, what version you submitted to Jonk and so on. There is a second reason, really, why we built versioning inside to site versioning and backups, which is web-based collaboration that we've been working on for quite a while. So we released Manuscripts as a desktop-based, fully offline application last year, but we've actually been working on collaboration features really 2-3 years, and we're just getting quite close to now releasing that. And the idea is that you can write either with this desktop application, or you can write with the web-based application, and it just synchronizes the changes between the two. And what's enabling that to happen is the version history that's sitting behind the document. Another thing that I figured I'd show this audience is extensions to the plugin system that we've been building. So there's a third-party extensible plugin system inside the application, which you can use for modifying the document contents or enriching it. For instance, here I'm showing an example where we have an example plugin that does DOI resolving. So I just pasted in text that happens to be a PDB DOI. We go to the PDB database, we go from, actually, sorry, no, not in this case. We go to just cross-ref, we fetch the metadata, we convert that into R format, we render it as a citation, we render it as a declarator of the item, and it's, for the end user, it's a couple of seconds. For us, it's a painful work, but anyway, that's kind of how we want to approach this, and we want to automate all these things that you just keep repeating all the time when writing. I have a little challenge for you, so please ask a question, and I will reveal the point code. So the application is $39.99 usually. You actually get it for free if you ask a good question. Yeah?
You said that figures were exported in rasterized. That means that you're going to lose all the editable.
So that probably depends on the file format. So if your file format that you're exporting to requires that, then we rasterize. If you're exporting to LaTeX, we actually just keep the originals.
Or EPS or something.
Sorry?
Or some EPS, I suppose, or one of those.
EPS is kind of half supported, half not. That's a complicated example, but like PNGs, PDFs, it's pretty much everything else but EPS is simple.
Animated GIFs?
What's that?
Animated GIFs?
Animated GIFs. It probably will work because it's just a web browser. Yeah.
Won't work on paper.
What's that?
Animated GIFs won't work on paper.
Animated GIFs won't work on paper.
It's a follow-on. I don't know if I get a coupon for this or not. But on the question, basically it's very.
I mean, I work back PhD thesis, for instance, with LaTeX myself, but that's quite rare in biology. And I guess the main difference is really that we're trying to have a different new markup format behind this, and one that is more structured than LaTeX is. So I'm dodging the question. Yeah.
So you talked about your online version that you've been working on. Does that mean, obviously your app, which is on Mac, that's not collaborative, that's one person. Can you collaborate on the online version? If I have...
Yes, so that's precisely the point of why we're releasing it. So we released the standalone version just basically as the first step in just iterating very quickly on making changes like we made something like 60 updates to it over 9 months from releasing. And we just feel that where there's a gap still and where what people haven't really addressed is the kind of getting people who are very familiar with Microsoft Word and don't really care about all the workflow benefits of doing things in a structured way, kind of fooling them into doing it in a way. But I obviously see that collaboration is a huge problem in scientific writing. We need to address it. but it's just we've been able to get on the market without that yet.
Also, I think Matias is staying around afterwards for more questions, but that's thank you. Yeah, if you want to come up and start switching. So next we're going to hear from Denis, who's going to tell us about his early stage project that he's working on, called Science.
Thank you guys for being here. So, Science Factor. This is an idea that I had last year, about a year and a half ago, during one of the app chats that usually happens after these sort of events. And I started lingering on that, and then finally I've been able to find a small team, which eventually became smaller. It's incredible. So we are working on this. What you will see is a list of features that we are working on. The layout of the graphic will not be probably the final one. It's kind of psychedelic style, as you will see. But yeah, that's what I want. So my starting point was there is a list of, I think, are very big issues in science. I don't know if you would agree with that. Let's start. Let's see if you have like an opinion on this as well. So finding new relevant and high quality papers takes time. No metrics for paper quality. No measure for scientists' contribution to research and papers. Talking about like the list of authors and that sort of stuff. And the fact that there is no incentive in verifying previous findings, except for the interest of the journals to publish certain content. That's what is basically driving scientists to working on something or not. So we thought, yeah, why not? This is not really a big deal. Let's see if we can do something about all these issues at the same time. So we started working on the app. You might wonder, okay, how does it work then? So, first of all, it's a mobile phone app. So you install your app, you install the Science Factor. You don't need to create your account because it connects to Orchid ID. So you must have an Orchid ID. You type in your Orchid ID, you sign in. The app connects to Orchid website, which where you type in your password. So you don't give your password for Orchid to us. Get connected to that, and Science Factor gets authorized, if you like, of course, to fetch all the publications that you have on your records. So what we do, we get all the publications. I'm not talking about the full text here, I'm talking about the records, so abstracts, photos, lists, all the things that you have on Orchid already. That's the list of the publications of all the Salinas, I suppose. Check boxes for the ones that you want to import. Based on the topic, which means the content of the abstracts in the title, Science Factor, using some text mining algorithm, figures out, with the big help of NCBI, I have to say, figures out what's your field of study. So based on the field of study, we filter PubMed, not live because you will be waiting for ages. But we basically present on the app as a list of papers, those in PubMed that are relevant to your discipline, okay? And they are organized in certain ways. There are filters, so I'm not going to go into the details now, but the bottom line is that once you set up your account, you are able to see all the papers in PubMed that are relevant to you, and you get notified, like for Facebook, when someone is tagging you or there is a friend that is, commenting on your profile, you get a notification that that certain paper appeared on PubMed. So what do you do about that? You basically, Well, you can do different things. The first thing is that you can select the papers you're interested in, and you can save them for later reading. You receive an email with a list of basically links to the PubMed, or that's your academic server that figures out if you can get the full text or not. And then after you have read them, which means after 1 week that you receive the reading list, you get prompted by Science Factor asking you, do you mind rating this paper? That SF that you see is actually the Science Factor score. How does it work, the rating? So there is this list of criteria that you can read yourself, basically. Very, very quickly, you tap on one of the criteria, you get this description of what you're about to be rating, what you're about to rate. And then with a slider, basically, you set excellent for the rigor, then oops. Anyway, good for reproducibility, sorry, my Italian accent. You don't need to be rating all those criteria. You can do 1, 2, 3, or all of them. At that point, you submit the rating. And please also notice I'm working with a study. The box if you're working on similar work, research. And after you submit the rating, Science Factor crunches all the data and generates basically those numbers with some other in terms of parameters. So the things that the next one is how scientists' contribution to research papers can be somehow measured in a similar way to the rating of the papers. You can rate for your own papers how much your fellow co-authors have contributed to one of those. This is, of course, undisclosed. I don't even want to start thinking about what we got in terms of cancer codes. And in terms of incentive in verifying previous findings, well, there is that checkbox of you're working on replica study that ideally would be covering this. If you assume that this whole Science Factor thing is a standard that is up and running, we are launching the app in the next couple of months. So if there will be, of course, feedback from the scientific community in the coming months, we might start considering that, that we are creating a system that allows you really to measure the quality of research based on the scientists' feedback, and maybe promote some or push some researchers to duplicate some of the studies. So this is kind of good intentions in a way. I would like to finish with since we started with a kind of cover for a journal. This is, again, something that will be launched soon. We are working now on the alpha version, which is being tested by a small group of scientists, and we are taking their feedback to be what you have seen. Some of the features might not be available straight away, some will come after, and yeah, thank you for your attention. How much time do we have for questions?
2 minutes.
Yeah, thanks for your talk, Denis. You said a little thing about measures. How does what you do compare with the SCI, Science Citation Index? Is that complementary, or? So that's what many people rank, an author's paper is published in Science Concerning Journals.
Basically, the point here is, if I got it right, this matrix is not based on citations, which kind of make the whole thing quite different from the actual standards. So it's something that has to be, I think, considered quite different in a way. I don't know if I addressed your question. There was a, sorry.
You mentioned that you integrate with ORCID, which is great. Do you also integrate with the credit standard for contributors?
No, I'm aware of that, but I would be happy to talk to you later.
Okay, great.
So, yeah, so it was, yeah, sorry. Yeah, first, please.
I'm just curious, it's fascinating. What precautions have you taken to avoid people gaming the system? If you're asking people to say how much they've contributed to...
Yeah, that's a very good question. There is few ways for at least detecting the gaming, few others avoiding the gaming. For example, if you submit the rating, that is not going to be automatically the science factor of that paper. It needs to be the rating for a certain paper must be coming from many people, and the science factor of the results is not the average, but it's the median. So that is your first kind of line of defense against gaming. There's other ways that would probably red flag if you are trying to put excellent to all your co-authors' papers published with other people. There's different ways in place, but yeah, you can put that in if you like.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. The first slide you showed with the list of things that are not measured, as a comment, absolutely right, and all of these things are very important and are not looked at the moment. The next point is in order for this to become useful, you need to have momentum, you need to have it past a certain point. That's my second comment. And then the third comment is, what is my incentive to spend time rating someone? What do I get? I'm selfish, you see.
No, I mean, this is one of the first feedbacks that we received from the small scientists, which is the main reason why we added all the feature about new content suggested. In a nutshell, you won't be able to get any more suggestions if you don't rate papers. Some points, but yeah, there's many other aspects. Sorry.
Then we can have one more question, and then we have to move on.
Yeah.
Are you incorporating the autometric approach? Because so many scientists, although they mentioned SCI, but that can't cope with the social media, with blogs and so on, which many scientists are now using as a way of telling people about what they're doing. So how are you, to what extent are you incorporating autometrics?
No. I think that Matrix is doing a great job in measuring the attention of the papers, of the content that is produced. This is something that is very different from trying to capture the attention, which is very well captured by Matrix already. The idea behind this is to really try to formalize all the conversations between scientists during the journal class where they say, well, this paper is just bad, and trying to turn it into numbers, really. That's interesting question.
I think we're going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid, and Denis is around afterwards, so please with him one more. Sorry, two months later. Up next, we have Logan, who's going to tell us a bit more about Kudos.
So yes, I'm going to talk a little bit about Kudos and about some new developments we're working on and some ideas for the future. I'm Logan Scott, Senior Product Manager at Kudos. And for those of you who don't know Kudos and haven't worked with us, Kudos is a free service for researchers and authors. We work in collaboration with publishers, universities, societies, and increasingly the industry as well, to provide tools to increase the impact of the research and also the academic reputation. So we do that really by there are three things that we get people the researchers to do. In Kudos, the first thing is obviously the author to come claim their publication. We also work with ORCID and the publishers to do auto-claiming as well, so the author or researchers have to do it themselves. Once claimed and linked to their account, they can explain their publication using the labeling of what's it about, why it's important. They can add resources, their own perspective, all of which help to extend the publication impact outside of their field. Once they've done that, they can share publication through Kudos to any of the sort of standard social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or to their blog post, email, if they like. All of that is a trackable link. So we record all of the activity that the authors and researchers do on Kudos, and log that both for the publisher, institutions, society, and also for the authors to see the effect of the work that they're doing and the impact on the publication and their academic representation goal. So it's a three-stage process. You don't have to do one and the other. I mean, you can share it before you explain it. Obviously, something that's been explained that has a nice summary or what's it about, a short title is more popular with readers. Studies have shown that just adding a short title increases clicks through to the publication page. So we track, in terms of measures, we track obviously the author's activity, but we also track and record all of the activity on that publication, either through Kudos, so we count clicks through on the share button, we count clicks through to the publisher's page, and we also integrate with external metrics, counts such as Optometric and Thomson Reuters to include citations as well. So Kudos is really across all of those platforms, across publishers, provides all of the data to say across all of that. So the question is, really, does that work? Is the impact of the effort that you're doing in Kudos have an impact on your publication? The short answer is yes, it does. We've had a research partnership with Natalie University in Singapore, who have worked with us to look at a sample size of publications. They compared around 5,000 publications in Kudos that had been explained and shared against a control group of a similar size of publications that hadn't been explained and shared. And what they found is that there was a 23% increase in downloads on the publisher side for those that had been explained and shared on Kudos. And we're still working with them, and we're going to work on the results and deep down a bit more deeper into that, and we'll be publishing the results later this year as well. The short answer is yeah. So we are seeing the impact of the effort that authors are putting into Kudos, and the result of that is Kudos itself is growing quite rapidly. We've been around for 2 years roughly, and we've had over 100,000 registered authors, 80 plus publishers, and our extent increasingly working with society, institutions, and industry as well. All of which is really getting to a point where we have, as you can imagine, masses and masses of data for 3 million publications or thereabouts. And the question is really becoming increasingly for all of our users is, what should I do? If I come to Kudos, I've only got 5 minutes a day or a week, what's the best action to do? So really the focus for us now is the sort of next step for Kudos. All of which you've seen so far, which we currently do. What we're doing next phase is taking that decision making away from the author and the researcher, moving away from being a sort of data provider, where we give you the data and you can download it and present it and analyze it how you like, to being a solution provider. So you can imagine a publisher or an author who's particularly got some publications. It's too much for one person or one corporation to watch and to kind of keep track of and decide which publication to promote and what action to take. So what we do currently is we're working on an algorithm and we call a recommendation engine that can watch that big set of publications, all of which are in Kudos. And you as an individual, as I say, be it an author, a researcher, an editor, a publisher, or a society, can indicate or work with us to identify what we call a watch list, which is effectively a short list of publications. So you might have 300 publications in your journal, or articles in your journal that you're publishing, but only 10 of which are of particular interest to you. Perhaps it's the theme that you're promoting this course. So you can tell us, identify that with us, and but even that, even having 10 publications, what action should you take? Which of those should you promote, or share, or explain? So again, the idea is we can do that decision making for you. And we can analyze, and working on refining this even more, we can analyze all the metrics that we've been talking about, your metric score, your citation score, the activity within Kudos that's been shared or explained recently, and then provide for you effectively a to-do list, a daily to-do list of 5 tasks that we know will have proven impact. And the idea is that you can do these, as I say, if you're an author, or if you're a paying customer from a publisher or the like. And come into Kudos once a day, spend 5-10 minutes going through those 5 tasks. And they might be a publication we know you're interested in and are wanting to promote, has been claimed by an author, possibly being explained, but hasn't been shared. Now we know from research that we've done, obviously sharing is the most impact. We also know more detail. We know that authors and researchers tend to share through Facebook more than Twitter or LinkedIn, but we know LinkedIn is the more powerful channel that has the highest click-throughs. So our recommendation is you can not only say this particular publication has been claimed and explained but hasn't been shared, we can suggest that you share it on LinkedIn, or if you prompt your author to share it on LinkedIn, for example. There are other actions you can take. Obviously, we can explain and suggest that you explain the publication. You can register your Facebook page and sign it up so that you can share there. You could also potentially follow a publication that wasn't on your shortlist. So we go back to the original idea of having a huge set of publications that you can't actively track, but there might be one that's bubbling up to the top. Perhaps it's got an elementary score that's risen quite drastically over the last week, or it's getting lots of share activity. We could say to you, did you know this publication is getting to assist us with recommendations, but also to help collect the data. We work with people that just Scholar One, obviously, for their citations. We also work with Opmetric for their metrics. Thomson Reuters for their citations. And Scholar One, we collect the data and lay summaries from authors at submission. So we're trying to reduce the amount of effort required to do that and collect it at the very early stage. We also work with Crossref and Orchid to implement data for applications and get the author's application list. And you'll hear more about paper hive later because they're coming up. So yeah, the key really is that the future of kind of tools that extend your outreach, increase the impact of your publications, is moving away from just giving you the data and collecting it up in a nice way that you can look at it, and moving towards giving you solutions and daily actions that you know will increase the impact and of your publications and your academic publications. Thank you. So, any questions? Yes.
I think the second half of your talk sort of reduced my scepticism, but the sceptical question I had at the beginning was, you had this study of the effect of using Kudos versus doing nothing.
Yes.
And I'm not surprised that it helped.
Yes.
What about using Kudos versus publicising using the other way, like just tweeting or just doing what was learned anyway?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and the answer is you don't know, because sharing just in Twitter is kind of very much a closed box, obviously, within our community. So what Kudos does, and yes, the impact for authors, obviously sharing just through Twitter is they can see that impact themselves. But that is your publisher, your institution, any of your community outside of that, your Twitter group, can't see the impact. So we can see the actual tracking of the impact. So,
and all metrics are there to measure that kind of stuff. I mean, impact story, yours, single pages, and yours, but it doesn't do the persuading ones to help.
Yeah, but also the Kudos doesn't just focus on Twitter, so that's one thing, sharing Twitter. It also does include citations and includes our metrics. So it's an area where you can look at the impact of all three of those.
those kind of cookies in any particular disciplines or areas?
Not really, no. We're across quite a few different disciplines. I mean, when we first started out, we were in partnership with, we had quite a sort of strong chemistry lead, just because that was how we first started out. But increasingly, it's across all disciplines and all regions.
You talk about 100,000 registered authors and
Yes.
researchers. How many of those have actually registered themselves, and how many are actively using?
You have to register yourself.
Okay.
Most of our authors and researchers come through invitations from their publisher, rather than cold registration. So they would get a prompt from their publisher, which would encourage them to come to us and sign up. And often that means that there are all the publications are also claiming for them. We have, and I'll just check the numbers for you, but it's I think the 25% sort of activity rate. Yes.
A quick question. So a lot of this is based around, a researcher person.
Yes.
So there's multiple authors, do they simultaneously interact with Kudos and cause confusion? Or
Yeah, so
talk to each other in a human way?
yeah, it's a very good question. So if you and I were co-authors on a publication, we could both claim that same publication, and we could both contribute to the short title, the lots of about, the why it's important, and resources as well. We can work collaboratively on that. And then there is a perspective which would be unique to yourself and unique to me. So if I was focused on a particular area, my perspective would be focused on that. But it's a collaborative area. We're shying away from it's not a sort of profile page or a forum where you can collaborate. It's a page where you can take your publication and just extend it out outside of your community. And obviously it helps with the SEO in terms of big names, something. Yes.
Just one quick question. Do you see a particular slant to younger or older authors using it?
I would imagine increasingly it's going to become, just my feeling is it would help with some early career researchers, but actually looking at the data is not, it's quite a broad stretch coverage. In fact, there are quite a few sort of professors and the like, Kudos, whether they're doing the actual study themselves or they've got somebody else, I'm not sure. But at the moment it's quite spread. Yes.
Linked to that, are the early career researchers just young PIs or postdocs as well? Because they're the people that want to early careers the most.
I'm not sure. As I say, it's quite a broad scope. We don't have a specific focus. Yes.
Are most of your users English speakers, or do you find you get in the same way you get a broad range of ages, do you find you get a broad range of languages as well?
Currently it's in English. We are looking at translation tools and things like that because increasingly China is growing market for us. But currently all the explaining is the region study is quite big.
Well, I think we may have to save any other questions for afterwards. Because it's so far, I thought we could just take a 5-minute break before the next talk, so you can grab out the drinks and just have a break. But let's thank Logan for Please be back here in 5.
Thank you, John, for the introduction. Everyone, thank you for coming back after with the drinks. So, good evening. It's pronounced Kolabtree, but like Kolabtree, it's but there are more ways to say it. So I'm going to keep my presentation as short as I can, and hopefully get some questions and feedback at the end of it. So before digging into what Kolabtree does, I'd just like to touch upon a few of the trends that lie at the heart of what we're trying to do. First is, big companies like the Googles, the Microsofts, the GEs of the world, they have pretty good access to the scientific community nowadays. Unfortunately, the same can't always be said of small and medium businesses. And it can be quite difficult to get in touch with a scientist or an expert in very niche areas. Second is, I'm sure many of you might agree, the peer review system is bursting at the seams a little bit. And there are many journals out there that are experimenting, trying new models. Third is the rise of collaborative research, which, between institutions, between countries, between disciplines, which is absolutely fantastic. But again, the labs that are not as well funded, or from researchers from smaller institutions who don't have a large network to tap into, can face a bit of a challenge in getting the support they need in terms of forming these kind of collaborative research partnerships. On the flip side of things, the scientists in the room, I'm sure, will nod along to the competitive research funding, and it's quite competitive out there, and the jobs crisis is getting pretty acute, and it's not going away anytime soon. So not to be all negative, Millie, or anything, but just to set the stage. These are the kind of various groups and various things that are going on out there. And the question we kind of asked ourselves was, is there a mechanism that can be provided by this on-demand economy that's rising up through, through all the other industries, and can give a way to connect all these different groups together? Obviously, we answered yes, and we started Kolabtree about a year and a half ago, and we're developing a platform to not only connect various groups together, but also give them a way to collaborate efficiently and effectively as possible. The vision behind Kolabtree, or the vision that excites me the most, is kind of democratizing access to scientists and researchers, to small and big players alike. So we've started Kolabtree with a fairly broad but limited set of services. These are fully customizable services and entirely dependent on the kind of work you need to get done. The process is very collaborative in terms of whoever comes in, the person ordering the service, the client, and the person providing the service, the freelancer. They collaborate together to define the scope of the service and how to provide it. So the way it's collaborative is that the platform kind of gives people a way to connect and chat together. So for example, someone might come in with a project and say, I need someone to help me find papers on how, let's say, hepatitis progresses to liver cancer, just as an example. Then various experts, whoever feel like they have the expertise to take on the project, they bid on the project, and that's when the client and the people who are bidding have a chance to kind of talk together, talk about the project scope. So for example, freelancers might come in with some questions like, do you want to stick to just peer-reviewed literature, or do you want to look at gray literature as well? They might have a question like, do you want full-text PDFs, or do you want a BibTeX file? So those are the kind of questions that they can hash out. They can finalize the fee and the deadline for the project based on, the kind of scope that they decide. So budget-conscious clients might say, just do this much, and we'll have to limit it to this budget, or that's really part of the discussion. And then once the client chooses someone to work on their project, they confirm the project, moves to the next stage, which is to collaborate. And again, that we encourage both parties to work very closely. So the way a project like this might pan out is the freelancer would send a few papers, ask the client, is this in the right direction? Are we doing, is this the kind of are these the kind of papers you were looking for? And the client might say, no, I was maybe looking for more clinical focus, or I was maybe looking for more practice area focus. So, they'll collaborate throughout the process. And that kind of acts as the quality control. The client working so closely together with the freelancer to get that project done. And that's how it works. And we've seen a very high level of engagement on all the projects that we've worked on so far. We've seen, almost every other day, the two parties exchanging messages and making sure that the work stays on track. So this is just a sampling of the comments that some of our clients who've completed projects with us have provided. One of my favorite stories is Alex, who is also started, who's also started her own startup to provide personalized genetics reports. They had a list of about 45 genes along with their descriptions, and they needed someone to verify, are those descriptions correct? So she connected with a freelancer called Leanne from the Massachusetts General Hospital Cancer Center. And Alex was completely thrilled and delighted to be able to get someone of that caliber to check their content, get it ready for them. And they worked really well together. By the end of it, Alex is already committed to giving more projects to Leanne. And she's also asked Leanne whether they can include her profile on their website so that they can reassure their readers that an expert's actually looked at this and it's all verified and accurate. Here's a sample of what freelancers are saying. We've had a tremendous response from, especially from the postdoc community, who have really just come on very enthusiastically and said, we'd really love to help you make this work. In fact, we reached a milestone last month where we had 2,000 freelancers registered with us, and they're from all over large institutions like Stanford, MIT, Harvard, smaller scale institutions from India, from Japan, from all around the world. About 30% of them are actually from the UK. Again, from bigger places like Imperial and Oxford, and smaller colleges like, I don't know if I should call London or a smaller college, so I won't say anything there. So anyway, they're from all over the place, and we are really excited to see the kind of feedback we've gotten so far. And we're going to be working very hard to provide the kind of opportunities that they came looking for. So that's it about Kolabtree and what we do, why we do it. Any questions, feedback would be appreciated.
So can you give me guidance on the spectrum of cost? So do you have an idea of what a median price is, what the variance is on jobs?
So we've had projects posted for as little as $75 to, we've actually had someone come in with a $100,000 project for the algorithm-driven portal. So they kind of range across the
And do you guys, again, I presume the business model is you guys take a cut? Right?
Correct. So we take a commission, a 20% commission off the final fee for each project.
You must be happy with $100,000 project.
Well, we have to do that first. But yeah.
If this service is successful, do you think we'll see a massive drop in the productivity of academic research labs?
Because they're also busy making money on Kolabtree. I think in the future, probably what might happen is more research groups might get involved. Like right now, it's at a very individual level. It's just one freelancer kind of working on a project. In the future, it might be a whole lab maybe can participate in projects, or freelancers can team up together to kind of form a team on a project. So it's really up to them as to how much time they want to devote to Kolabtree or to their other activities. But,
do you have is there a rating service as far as the experts go and the freelancers, so that if you do post post a project and you've got a few that bid on it, would you have a way of choosing how does that work?
Yeah, so first when freelancers come and create profiles, they we ask them to usually sign in to connect with their working profile. So we have kind of a profile of them available. Their publications, work experience, education, a brief summary of what they do. And we are actually, I think next week we should be ready to release a rating system. So the ratings will be based on work that they've done, as well as just an initial evaluation.
So getting 2,000 a month, signing up is really good, or getting to 2,000 a month is really good. Can you talk to us a little bit, or give us a bit of a description about how you got first people on board, the first project? Just what's the origin story of that?
So we actually started with the pilot project program in 2015, and we had we just kind of put some feelers out there. Just some ads, just reaching out to a few people saying we're running this pilot project. Why don't you, give it a try? And we've actually had 3 very different segments kind of respond to that and say, here's a project, let me try it. There was someone from a university in Connecticut, a mid-sized university in Connecticut. There was one person who was a small business owner, sells products on Amazon, and then one person who works for an NGO, and she needed some literature collected on a very specific type of rare disease. So those are kind of the initial projects, and then we kind of started going a little bit from there. The freelancers, we just went out and again, just I think posted on some postdoc forums, etc. Talked about Kolabtree, and we just got an amazing response from those people who just signing up.
Cool. Ashmita's going to be around afterwards for more questions, please. Let's give them a big hand. And up next, we have Georgia, who's going to tell us a bit about eLife and Continuum. Or you can tell us more about
Hi, I'm Giorgio. I work in this company, actually organization, because it's a not-for-profit, so it's a strange company, called eLife, which is an open access journal dedicated to biology and medicine. You may have already heard of it. I'm not a scientist like most of the people in this room, I guess. I'm a technologist, I'm a software engineer tuned to testing. And I work on eLife software. This is eLife. It's primarily a digital journal with print as an afterthought. And for making it work, there is a lot of software that runs under the hood. The final part of this pipeline software takes articles from a preprint manuscript from peer review up to something that is available on a website and in many other forms all over the web. Is our publishing platform. And recently we got the idea of open sourcing all of that. Since we are open access journal, and the article is publicly accessible, no paywall, so why not doing the same also for software and possibly have the same impact on other possible journals that may be born now and use some of our software instead of having to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in custom developments of some software company. So our publishing platform is composed of a few services where articles are taken from their source format in JAX-XML into a bot service that is able to translate the article into different formats, to resize images, and to deposit these manuscripts on over many different targets like Crossref and PubMed and whatever you may add to these flows. From there, the articles reaches different services, a website, which is what you have just seen here, which is an highly customized Drupal instance that is able to cache and take lots of traffic over a moderate amount of services. Our Lux instance, which is an article repository exposing all the articles versions through a programmatic API, a REST API in particular, so that there may be other scripts that can run on stream and pull RSS feeds, or in any case pull in a machine readable descriptions everything that we know about an article. And also a dashboard that instead is an internal tool oriented to our production team that can follow the path of an article through all these different stages and see if something goes wrong. So these projects have been open sourced in one at a time in the last months, and they are available on GitHub as public repositories with an MIT license. We discussed it between different open source licenses like GPL and MIT, but for having the most impact, probably MIT is the best because there is no limitation on what you can do with the software, and the biggest concern of potential users of the software were just do they have to pay, and of course you don't have to pay. In these services, there is also a big problem of setting them up. We didn't go the route of hosting them ourselves because it is not our job. We have a small team. We are able to develop and maintain eLife's own instances of these services, but not to provide them as new separated instances to new organizations. So we went for the route of open sourcing, but that begs the question of how do we actually set them up. So we open sourced also Builder, which is our tool for creating AWS resources that support this project. So every one of these will run on its own EC2 instance, which is a virtual machine managed by Amazon. It will depend on many resources like databases and script buckets and many things that Amazon provides as a service. So what we do is provide what are called formal repositories for new projects so that they can be spilled up really by Tuesday instead of having to go through long manual setups. And on top of all that, we have also opened a mailing list so that there can be public discussion about issues with this project, and we can provide deep support for anyone that we want to try. So that's it for this overview. Hope some of you weeklies in the publishing industry can find some of our plugins. Thanks.
Is anyone else already using it?
We open sourced the repositories in the last of them in the last month, so it's a bit early to say. We are available in this providing the support that people need. Of course, it's scary to try new software, but since software always evolves, there's never a perfect time in which to use it. So it's better to get it out and get feedback and improve it. We just have to wait forever for one version.
What language or programming language do you use? And do you build on any existing frameworks?
If you have to go through these services, the eLife is a Python project which uses a lot of AWS resources but not particular frameworks. The eLife dashboard and Lux are Django projects, so still Python but on top of the standard framework. And the eLife website is a Drupal instance, so it's actually PHP. And I think these technologies fit well the different kind of workloads. So eLife, both Lux and eLife dashboard are mostly internally oriented, while eLife website is to serve a lot of traffic from the general public, and so PHP is an easier choice for this kind of work.
Thank you.
Can you remind me, the MIT license, does that allow me to compile it and then...
It basically allows you to do whatever you want as long as you keep the attribution. So it's like Creative Commons with attribution. It's more permissive than GPL, so you can compile it, take it, modify it. The only thing is to maintain the original.
And I can sell it.
And
yes.
Yeah. Good.
I'll be there.
Full services.
Sorry?
Full services.
Exactly.
How much effort was it preparing all to be open source?
I got into eLife 5 months ago, and it was already good. So it's a much bigger effort to generally size a piece of software with respect to using private and selling applications. So it took several months of work for it, which is not working just on this, but also on other projects. So it's quite a good effort, and you try to avoid publishing your own database keys, for example, all this kind of private stuff.
So we had, so I used to work in eLife, and I was involved in the open sourcing project, and in the course of open sourcing, we actually found a lot of intriguing assumptions that have been built into some build processes that we had forgotten there. Particularly around the older AWS infrastructure. So the process of open sourcing it allowed us to improve some of those processes to make them more generic, which could also even help eLife in the future.
How long does the project exist internally? For open source?
Internally, Ian can answer this question better than me, but I guess at least 1 or 2 years.
First plans were laid down in February 2015. First code probably was developed around about April, May of that year, and the project went live in December. Sorry, February of this year. But yeah, I've been operating since about November, December, and then went fully live in February.
No more questions, that's fine. We now get ready for our final talk of the evening, and for more drinks and merriment. And I believe you go for the live demo type approach.
Yes, a combination.
Yeah, so this is great. So fingers crossed. But this is on ready for our paper.
Thank you, John. So yeah, I just flew in from. So it's a cross-publisher layer of interaction. So we are pulling documents from publishers. We're not hosting the documents. We're just checking does the user have access, or actually the publisher checks that. So we just try to pull in the document. If it works, fine. If it doesn't work, then you probably hit the paywall. So behind the scenes, what's going on in PaperHive? Yeah, so all motto is all you need is love, but also good metadata. And this is where Crossref comes in. So we pull a lot of the metadata from Crossref, and then pull in the actual document directly from the publisher. PaperHive is free for researchers, so everyone can just use it. Publishers pay for integrating their content on the platform. So if you wonder why would they do that, actually they greatly benefit from all kinds of discussions around their content, since it's then exposed more to the researchers. So basically integrating content with PaperHive is for a publisher like this, if the metadata is possible. If not, we have to work more. For publishers, it's quite interesting because they still see all the traffic that's going on the document. So before PaperHive, you download the document and it starts to run on your hard drive. And the moment you download the PDF, the publisher goes blind and does not know what to do with the document, if it's used anymore, if it's actually irrelevant. With PaperHive, they still can see that there is some attention, activity around this article, and this relevant information for a publisher. So that's all I want to say for the business model. We have an open API for all these discussions that are going on PaperHive, so you could basically build tools around these discussions. That is all open. We're co-developing a standard with W3C, so that's the consortium that creates all the web standards, and so we're actively developing a standard for annotations, online annotations. So if you wonder what is on PaperHive right now, we have around 15 million documents and books currently. Archive.org is completely on PaperHive. All articles from Science Direct, so Elsevier, are on PaperHive. Then there are a few open access publishers, OAPEN, Knowledge and Ledge, Language Science Press, and a few more. Yeah, what's the benefit for researchers? Of course, you can work more productively. You also somehow increase your visibility. You share your knowledge, so your name is attached to these discussions. And obviously you bring experts somehow closer together. Eventually they may cooperate in another research project. Yeah, maybe I switch to the. Yeah, so this is a screenshot, but I could drop that since you see the demo. I just wanted to say a bit about the applications. So my intention was to boost the productivity of research groups. So I wasn't a research group, but essentially I was working more or less alone because there was just no way of communicating about all these articles. Maybe once a week you sit in a seminar and explain what you did or what you couldn't do because you couldn't understand it, because you couldn't communicate. So this tool can be used very efficiently in research groups, but also in education. For example, in lectures, the documents can be discussed among all the students in private channels or publicly. A nice feature we have is the share button. I will demonstrate that in a minute, but basically what it does is you create a discussion and get a link for that, and then you can send it out to someone who might have the answer to that question, or could provide meaningful information to that. And on the right-hand side is the PaperHive widget that you can include on your private website, or that publishers are also going to include on their website to indicate that there is something going on an article and you can just check it. And actually this is also what Kudos is integrating. And vice versa, we will display the explanations from Kudos as well. So, yeah, let me show you the demo, how it looks like. So this is just an arbitrary document. Actually, it's not arbitrary, it's one of the 50 million documents that has comments, so not all of them have comments, obviously. PaperHive went into public beta like 3.5 months ago, and so it's still quite fresh, and we don't have too many users right now. We're focusing on getting more content on board, so it makes more sense for users to participate. And what you see here now is a discussion that was attached, for example, here to this D equals 24. So I'm a mathematician, that's why I chose a mathematics paper. Forgive me. So, for example, this comment here says that a case where d equals 24 is already solved. So this is maybe the information you need. That's just a link to another paper, and you're done. Here is another proof idea, so people can communicate. We have also actual discussions going on here. So there was media coverage about this article. People responded with further mentions in the media about this particular article, solving a difficult math problem. And what I want to show you now is a feature I just developed actually this morning in the flight from Berlin to London, and I couldn't finish it on the flight, so I had a few more minutes on the tube. Which takes a while from Heathrow. And this feature is, we call it deep links. What it does is you can basically go anywhere in the document, select a piece of text, and then you get this button here, Share Text Selection URL. When you hit it, you get a link for this selection. And you can send it to someone else. So I'm sure all of you know these emails saying, open this document, page 24, second paragraph, third line, you know what I mean. So you can just take this link, and if you open it, you will arrive at this position in the document, and the selection is highlighted. If you're logged in, so I can just do that now, logging in is possible with Orchid. I would prefer that, but people also want to Google an email, so it's also there. If I log in and I open this link, I can directly enter a comment. So maybe I know something about it, and a friend sent it to me, so I can directly answer here. So you can, of course, interlink passages of text on Paperwhite. So here is a comment. Ada Lovelace asked, doesn't live anymore, but she's on Paperwhite. She lives on. Here is a link to another paper discussing roundup errors, and it would directly bring you to the specific part of the document. And you can reshare that wherever you want. So this was the feature from this morning. It's not live yet, so this is why you see this on the development instance here. You won't find it on paperhive.org now, probably tomorrow or in the next days. The next flight back. Oh no, yeah, so this is the quick introduction to Paperhive.